The rain drummed against the barracks window as I packed my gear for the last time. "Couldn't hack it, Rodriguez?" sneered Petty Officer Brooks, the same man who'd been undermining me since day one of butt-ass training. "Guess the SEALs aren't for everyone." I looked him straight in the eye, my voice steady despite the hurricane of emotions inside. "No, I guess they're not." What he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that in 18 months, I would take the shot that would end a war. But first, I had to survive the humiliation of washing out. My name is Captain Elena Rodriguez, and this is the story of how failure became my greatest weapon. Growing up in East LA, I learned to shoot before I learned to drive. My father, a Marine sniper who'd served 3 tours, taught me that precision wasn't just about hitting a target, it was about discipline, patience, and the ability to make impossible decisions under pressure. "Mia," he'd say, adjusting my stance at the local range, "anyone can pull a trigger, but only a true marksman knows when not to." I enlisted in the Marines at 18, driven by a need to prove myself in a world that constantly questioned whether women belonged in combat roles. I excelled in marksmanship training, broke records in long-range accuracy, and earned my Scout Sniper designation faster than anyone in my class. When the opportunity arose to attempt Navy SEAL training, part of a pilot program for female candidates, I volunteered without hesitation. Bud-S training was designed to break people. The physical demands were brutal, but I'd prepared for that. What I hadn't prepared for was the psychological warfare waged by some of my instructors and fellow candidates. Every success was diminished, every struggle magnified. When I completed Hell Week 5.5 days of continuous training on 4 hours of sleep total, I was told I'd barely scraped by, while male candidates who'd performed worse were congratulated. The breaking point came during dive training. My swim buddy, Jackson, had developed an ear infection that affected his equilibrium underwater. During a night dive exercise, he became disoriented and started ascending too quickly, a potentially fatal mistake that could cause decompression sickness. I made the split-second decision to break protocol, abandoning our assigned route to guide him safely to the surface. "Rodriguez," barked Instructor Chief Morrison the next morning, "you failed to complete the exercise parameters. You're out." "Sir, I saved my swim buddy's life," I protested. "You compromised mission integrity," he shot back. "SEALs follow orders, not emotions." As I walked away from the training compound for the last time, Jackson caught up with me. "Elena, what you did doesn't matter," I interrupted. "Take care of yourself, Jackson." But it did matter, more than I could have imagined. 18 months later, I was deployed to Afghanistan as part of a Marine sniper team when everything changed. Intelligence had located Khalil Hassan, the terrorist mastermind behind a series of coordinated attacks that had claimed hundreds of American and Allied lives. He was holed up in a compound in the Hindu Kush Mountains, preparing to execute what intercepted communications suggested would be the largest terror attack in history, targeting multiple American cities simultaneously. The mission was supposed to be a joint operation. Navy SEALs would breach the compound while my sniper team provided overwatch. As we took our positions on a ridge 1,200 meters away, I watched through my scope as the familiar figures of SEAL Team 6 approached the compound. Among them was Jackson, now a full SEAL operator. Then everything went wrong. The compound was more heavily fortified than intelligence had indicated. An IED explosion at the main entrance wounded half the SEAL team, and enemy fire pinned down the survivors. Through my scope, I could see Jackson dragging a wounded teammate to cover, blood streaming down his face. "We need immediate exfil," crackled through the radio. "Heavy casualties, mission compromised." But Hassan was still inside, and our intelligence indicated he was preparing to transmit the final activation codes for the terror plot. If he escaped, thousands would die. That's when I saw him, a figure moving toward a communication array on the compound's roof. The range was extreme, 1,247 meters through swirling mountain winds. The target window was maybe 18 inches, partially obscured by equipment. It was an impossible shot under impossible conditions. "Rodriguez, do you have a clear shot at the target?" came the voice of our mission commander. I steadied my breathing, feeling my father's training flow through me. The wind was gusting irregularly, the target was moving, and the angle required. Compensating for both elevation and the curvature of the earth. I had maybe 10 seconds before. Hassan would be behind cover again. "Negative on a clear shot, sir," I reported, watching Hassan pause at the communication array. But then Jackson's voice cut through the radio chatter, weak but determined. "Elena, trust your instincts." In that moment, I remembered why I'd washed out of SEAL training. Not because I lacked the skills or determination, but because I'd prioritized saving a life over following orders. The same instinct that had ended my SEAL dreams was now telling me to take a shot that every tactical manual would deem impossible. I adjusted for wind, elevation, and the target's movement pattern. My breathing slowed to match my heartbeat. The world narrowed to the crosshairs in my scope and the figure 1,247 meters away. "Rodriguez, what's your status?" demanded the mission commander. Hassan raised what appeared to be a communication device. In moments, he would transmit the codes that would unleash hell on American soil. The SEAL team was pinned down. Helicopter extraction was still minutes away, and this terrorist was about to execute the largest attack in history. I made the choice that would define the rest of my life. "Taking the shot," I whispered into my mic. Time stopped. The wind stilled for exactly 2.3 seconds, a window I'd been praying for. I squeezed the trigger with the same steady pressure my father had taught me 20 years earlier. The .338 Lapua Magnum round traveled for 1.8 seconds, dropping nearly 40 feet due to gravity and drifting 6 inches left due to the Coriolis effect. At precisely 1,247 meters, it found its target. Hassan dropped instantly, the communication device shattering on the rocks beside him. "Target eliminated," I reported, my voice steady despite my racing heart. The compound fell silent. Without their leader, the remaining terrorists surrendered within minutes. The terror plot died with Hassan on that rooftop in Afghanistan. Later, during the debrief, our mission commander pulled me aside. "That was a 1-in-a-million shot, Rodriguez. How did you know you could make it?" I thought about Jackson's words, about the choice that had cost me my SEAL pin, about the years of training that had led to this moment. Sometimes, sir, you don't know until you try. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd been dismissed from SEAL training for following my instincts instead of orders. Yet those same instincts had just prevented the largest terrorist attack in American history. The shot was later verified by military records as one of the longest successful sniper eliminations in combat history. 6 months later, I received a commendation from the president himself. As I stood in the rose garden, metal heavy around my neck, I spotted a familiar face in the crowd. Jackson, now a decorated SEAL team leader, caught my eye and nodded with respect, the same respect that had been denied me during training. After the ceremony, he approached me. "You know, Elena, you never really washed out of anything. You just found your true mission." He was right. My failure to become a SEAL hadn't ended my military career. It had prepared me for the moment when precision mattered more than protocol, when saving lives required breaking rules, when the shot that seemed impossible became the only one that mattered. Today, I train the next generation of military snipers, teaching them not just accuracy and technique, but the wisdom to know when the mission demands more than blind obedience. I tell them what my father taught me. Anyone can pull a trigger, but only a true marksman knows when the shot will change everything. Some paths to victory don't follow the prescribed route. Sometimes the greatest success comes after the greatest failure. And sometimes The shot that ends the war is taken by the soldier who never quite fit the mold, but who understood the mission better than anyone else.